Good afternoon, it's Michael here from Michael's Card Art, and it's Sunday evening, I think the 10th of August. And as we always say, where has that year gone? Now, tonight I've got a very short video for you. I'm going to make it very short because I've got something else I need to do and I won't be available to do another video for the next couple of days. However, I was going to create for you, where has it gone? Can't see it. I was going to do another card for you this evening, but in light of the number of people who requested I do these series of cards, which I released last week, these have gone off like crackers. So what I've decided to do is bring this series forward, and I'll show you how to make this card. Now, yes, this one here. I did do this just really on the spur of the moment. It was a matter I was just doodling around and I was looking at all the great stamps that I haven't used as yet, and a lot of them appeared to be florals. And I was thinking, how am I going to use these? And it came to me that I should just start stamping, and so I did. And then when I started stamping, I was watching YouTube and I came across masking fluid. And I thought, oh, what is masking fluid? So I sat down, watched a bit of that, and then came up with this idea. So let me get started and I'll show you what we're going to do today. Now, you need to have, well, I believe what you need is an illustration that has got great tone in it. And because you don't want to do a lot of colouring, and because these cards have a bit of an old world sepia look about them, when you colour them, or what colours you use, be careful, because you want very muted tones and you want to have colours that are quite neutral. So browns, beiges, greys, colours like that. Vibrant colours weren't a part of that era, and so therefore if you want to go with a retro look, which is true to the era, then that sepia era, then some muted tones and neutral colours. So what I've done is I'll just walk you through the process as I go. I think that will be easiest. And as I said, use prints that are lots of tone in them, but not too many fiddly open spaces. What do I mean by that? There was one here, for example. Oh, no, I can't find it. Here, let's look at this one. So this here, if you were to try and mask this off using fluid, it would be a nightmare. You'd have to get in and around all these cracks. It wouldn't work to just colour the whole thing with fluid. It just wouldn't have the same effect. So you need something that is pretty compact, just with a couple of white areas in between, and as I said, has good tone. So I'm going to choose, for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to choose this one, and I might mix it with this here. So let's get started. There's a few steps in the process, and some of those steps, there's a little bit of drying time between them. So here's our base card, and we're going to put a matte card over the top of that. Oh, over the top, underneath that, as you can see here. So I'll cut these holes once I've got the colouring in, but we've got our, this is 10.5 by 10 centimetres, and the mat is 10.5 by 11 centimetres that goes under that. So the first thing I do is I'm going to use brown ink, and I'm going to use the Stamparatus, because after I've finished masking, I want to be able to, or after I finish doing a bit of colour, I want to be able to re-ink it just to make sure that it's still a sharp image. And I'll explain that when we get to that stage. So here we go. Place them where you think it's suitable, and I think that would be a nice combination just there. And there we go. Wait there, is it the right one? Oh, just bear with me a moment. Yes, Oh, no, that's not it at all. I picked up the wrong one. Oh dear. Here we go. There it is there. Okay. So I've got the berries. They go down that way, and I've got this going there. All right. We're using the... I'm going to use Early Espresso. That's the colour that I've used for all the others. And... all right. Beautiful. Really, really nice visuals. And I think they'll work up very, very well. Now, I'm just going to use the colours I'm going to use. I'm going to use crumb cake and maybe pecan pie. Yes, let's go with those. Right, so I'm going to use, and I might even have a grey. Sorry, I'm just thinking. All right, I've got the ink pads out when I want the blends out. What was I thinking? Or not? Okay, so I've got crumb cake and light crumb cake, and I've got a grey and the pecan pie. Great. So let's do the berries, and we'll do those first, and let's put those into pecan pie. Now, I know berries aren't... oh, I've got to be careful of my wrist too. I've strained it or sprained it or something, I'm not sure. Now, just a little bit of colour is all that's needed. Yes, just a little bit of colour. I was just erring on the side of caution there. And I'm just bringing that brown around. Now, normally I don't colour the whole element normally, but in this case, I'm going to. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the toned area, and I'm just going around that there. And what I'll do with that is I'll then apply the lighter blend and help move some of that darker colour away. Now, let me take off this blade to give myself some more room. And I need to keep it in place in the Stamparatus because I want to be able to restamp it. Okay, let's leave it at that. And this is the lighter pecan pie. So really what I'm doing now is going into that part that I originally coloured and wetting up, re-wetting that darker ink and bringing it into that area with the lighter colour. So that, and by doing that, I don't necessarily have that sharp border between dark and light. Okay, all right. I'm going to leave those, except for the little insert, but I'll leave the rest of those white. There we go. Now, I want, this is the leaf, and that's light crumb cake, and that's the dark crumb cake. Might be too much brown. I'm going to go with the grey. And that's this one here, grey granite, and grey granite. And where's the other one? Bear with me. I thought I had these all together for you. Why can't I find the other one? Light crumb cake. Crumb cake. Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Now, I'll use the dark grey granite on the leaves. Just giving it a little bit of tone and colour. Actually, I should do this down here. Start down here with the dark. And then I'll move upwards with the light. Remember, dragging, going into the area that I've already coloured and dragging some of that darker colour up with the light. So like that. And we may not colour all of these leaves. We might just see how we go here with colouring a few. Because we want to retain that sepia old world look if we can. Okay, there we go. Now the grey granite is a grey brown tone. So I'm just putting in the dark now. And there's a vein in that leaf, and I'm trying to keep away from that as well with colour so that it still shows white. There we go, and we're just now throwing in I don't normally make you watch me colour everything, but you can fast forward through some of this as well if you like. Actually, I'll leave that one. We'll go in with this one here. This one. Oh no, actually we'll go with this one because you can see the contrast there. So that's dark. Yes, it is. And I have to drive someone 30 kilometres tonight to their family, so I'm rushing to get that to make sure I can do that as well. There we go. Okay, I think that's enough. We'll leave those two leaves as they are. This is a light, so I'm just going to. There we go. Around here. Okay. I think that's good. Excellent. Okay. All right, now we'll take that same approach with these leaves because these are the berries. This is the berry branch. Now, so I've got the dark. Yes, I do. Now, I'm only going to colour not all of these leaves, not the full leaf either. Just a little bit of tonal colour here, and here's some bit more here. Let's see, here we go here. There we go. And like so. All right. Maybe this branch here, this leaf here, and that will be enough. Okay, so you can see the light and the dark there, light and dark, so that's, I think, good. Now, the brown pecan pie, let's go in with this. And all we're doing is just colouring the fruit and leaving the nub or the flower at the top uncoloured. And sorry for the quietness, but I can't colour and talk so well. Remember, I'm male. Okay, just about done. Here we go. All right, I think that's great. Okay. Now, you'll notice I'm using very vanilla cardstock. It all goes with the plan of a sepia approach. I wouldn't use white for this card because this is trying to capture a retro look, and the very basic beige or the very vanilla is perfect, I think, for this type of card. Now, I'm just going to grab a small paintbrush that I can use to apply this. Now, masking fluid. This is liquid. Now, why am I using liquid masking fluid and not the paper masking paper that Stampin' Up have? It's a very simple reason. Let me show you. You can see here, maybe more so on this one, you can see here, see this lighter area surrounding the actual plant. And you can see it even more so here, I think, and around the leaf. That is because I've put masking fluid on there, and I've taken the masking fluid out and about away from the actual outline of the product. If you use masking paper, you're most likely going to stamp it and then die cut it, the same as what you would do as if you were actually going to use it without masking paper. And you would have a very, very, if any, fine line between the colour that you've applied later and the actual diagram itself. With masking fluid, you can't control it so well because it's you applying it. And because you're using it with a brush, you're going to tend to be outside of the actual line. And because that outside line is what gives masking fluid, I think, the real charm over and above paper. So what I'm doing here is I'm just applying the fluid in on the border of the element, and I'm applying it very liberally. You can see I've probably come out 1/2 centimetre, 2/8 of an inch past the actual diagram. Now I'm going to yes, I'll white out these ones. I'm just thinking about something for a moment here. No, I'll white out that as well. Okay, now what I'm doing the inner part of the plant. Don't spend a lot of time rubbing this silicon-based product over your coloured areas. It won't, if it's a quality product, you won't lift the colour off what you've already laid down. However, I can't guarantee that it won't lift if you spend too much time wetting it with masking fluid. So just be frugal with what you apply and frugal with the time that you spend on each element. Now that's all I'm going to do there with that one. I've got masking fluid on all of that. Okay, now let me just put some more down. Oh, here we go. I'm just putting that on my glass mat. And what I'm doing is just reaching in with my brush and now applying it just to the outline to start with. And this will take about 30 minutes to dry. I don't have that much time, so what I'm going to do is hasten the process with a hot gun, but I need to be careful how hot I make it because I don't want it to blister, which is what paint will do if you heat it while you're waiting for it to dry. And you don't always want that look. I'm just going to the outline. Okay, we're just about finished. That's done. Okay, you can see here this one is already starting to develop a skin. And now make sure you wash your brush or put your brush into water as soon as you finish masking, using the masking fluid, because you don't want it to set, and it's very difficult to get it out of the brush once it has set. Okay, now when I say heat it, just I'll turn this on, and just what we're trying to do is get the skin to form straight away. And once the skin on the top forms without blistering, we know that we're heading in the right direction. And what we will do, okay, that's getting a nice skin on it, and that's about as much as I'm going to give it at this stage. Okay, and now we'll start on this one. I'm just taking out those wet areas. Okay, that's a little sticky to touch, but we're going to be in a position where we can go over it very shortly. Now, what I'll do with this now is I'll apply the, what do we call it? The dusting, embossing buddy. So the powder in that, I think it's a chalk powder. We can apply that over the top of this, just like so. Beautiful, and it takes away that stickiness. Okay, now how do I know all this? Because I've been experimenting, and I've been using this stuff only for this project actually, but I think I've pretty well got it under control. Now you may see there's a little bit of tonal colouring, but very little, and I think once we have that dried and we start to peel it off, I think you'll see that there's been no colour run underneath it. All right, now what we're going to do is apply other stamps, and it's a really simple stamp set, and here it is here. It's Notes of Nature. Now I like this stamp set. I've liked it ever since it came out, and I'm just wanting these 3 stamps from it. Okay, so field notes, we know what they are. People working in scientific research generally make notes of every specimen they find. And this could resemble something like that. Now, when you keep it in the stamp, right, so what I'm going to have to do, okay, what I should have done after I coloured it, I should have re-stamped it. Now, I didn't do that because I was chatting, see? So I'll have to keep it like that as long as I can and then re-stamp it. It has been done. I have done it before, but it's not my preferred modus operandi. All right, so the first stamp will go on, let's say, about here. So it's crossed over both of them. If this was to be the final card, it's not a nice way or a clear way to present your card when you're stamping over it and allowing the stamps to clash like that. Okay, so let's remove that and put this one on. And now, if you're going to be stamping like this in the Stamparatus, it's not the most ideal situation. Be careful you don't use a block that's too big. So, for example, if I put that into a long block and I wanted to stamp here, I wouldn't be able to stamp it because the block would be too long for the amount of real estate I've got. Okay, now this one will go here. Right, like so. And the last one I've got is little pebbles, and that can go here. All right. Then what I did was I got the brayer. Now I'm just lining these magnets up here because that's where I want to cut this, the die cut here. It'll be cut like that. And so I don't want any ink from the brayer to go on that. And because this is in position, what you're going to see is to probably be a nice clear run of colour from the brayer. Now, where have I put it? Let me just find it. Okay, just a couple of things that I've learned about the brayer. I would have thought if I was applying colour to a piece of cardstock, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you as I do it, as I speak it. Okay, I would have thought placing this onto a piece of glass with the brayer and then inked it up, I would have got a nice even run of colour. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so ink up the brayer. Now, if somebody knows a better way to do this, please let me know, because I'm a novice. But I love the look that this gives you. So I've got it on glass. It's a very straight, flat surface, and even. And if I apply the brayer, look at that. It's gorgeous. I mean, I like that look there. Very uneven. Why is it so uneven, though? Now, let me show you something. Re-ink the brayer. Bring out a piercing mat or a silicone sheet, whatever you've got, so long as it's supported in some way, shape or form. Now you watch this. Adding the brayer. Why is it so much even? So much more even. So I don't know the answer to that, but I mean, I'd like that look better than that look for this exercise. But unfortunately, I've now got this in my Stamparatus with a supported mat, so it's going to appear more even. Now I'm just going to check something. Does that allow it to go down there? And I'm just going to run it across the image. Now that's quite dark. What colour is that? Oh my gosh, I didn't even look at the colour before I applied it, even though I just used it. Not to worry. You can see here it's very dark. Not the colour that I wanted. Anyway, you can still, well, we're going, oh no, I'm not going to be able to restamp that. Let me get some paper towel. You'll still get the gist of what I'm trying to explain. Now, what we're going to do is take off as much colour as we can from those, from the masking area, because I don't want that colour, when I lift up the masking tape, I don't want that colour running into the areas that I've painted it clear of. Okay. And you can see how much is there when you give it a bit of a wipe. There we go. And in actual fact, this might look quite good, because it will show a clear delineation between the masked area and that isn't. Right. Okay. Just give that a final rub. Now, just let's put this back here to ensure. Now, it came, the brayer came with a rubber. And the idea of the rubber is to make it easier to remove the masking fluid. And where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Now, the idea is this. Just lift the masking fluid off gently. Start with the rubber. You can see there, possibly you can see where it's lifted just a fraction. See that? And by scraping it a little bit more, there it is, it's coming away. And can you see that? That's the masking fluid. So by removing it, just gently. There we go. Don't use too much heavy force with the rubber because you want it. Oh. There we go. Just slowly, slowly. There we go. And you can see when there's still some of the masking fluid on there. There, you just feel that. You can feel that under your finger. All right, and this one, same thing, just gently. There you go. It's really, sometimes when it comes to crafting, you need the patience of Job. I remember when I first heard that expression, my grandmother used it on me. I said, "Who's Job?" And hence, I got the retelling of another Bible story. In fact, I enjoyed the Bible stories. As a kid, I'd sit down there, peruse through them. I didn't understand the moral story behind them at the time, but now it's all clear. Okay, can you see that is what we've done there? Now, do I trust myself to restamp that? That's the question. Has it moved in any way, shape or form? Where's my... There we go. So I wouldn't be going through this drama if I had have re-inked at the time. There we go. Now, I am tempting fate. I know I am. All right, here we go. If it isn't spot on, it's going to, well, you'll know straight away. But oh, it is. It's fabulous. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? Look at that. There you go. Look how sharp and clean that is. Now, for the purpose of the exercise, imagine if this was a lighter colour in the background there. It wouldn't be so hard to see the text, but unfortunately, it is what it is. Now, what I want to do is, we're in the final stretch here. I'm just going to go and put those holes in it. Now, the assembly. What I will do is, yes, and it will go like this. All right, but first I must thread this. So threading it like this, just so that we get all of the do I have enough? I hope so. There we go. There we go. Okay, that looks good. And that's it. So let's get some glue onto that. ran out of tape runner, so I had to go and order some more. And while I was ordering, the new mini catalogue for Stampin' Up! Has come out, and of course that distracted me no end. And what was going to just be a couple of dollars spent turned out to be a couple of $100 spent. It's like, oh, stop. Okay, just getting that in. And I'm just going to put some glue here on these spots. Right. Oops, it's around this way. Okay, there we go. Now, as I said, it's unfortunate that I made that dark colour, but it still looks okay. I'm just going to grab, here it is. There we go. Voila. Okay. And like so. Now remember, this was a card that I came up with the concept. Well, and look, others may have done this before. I don't know. I'm just saying. For me, I stumbled across this Brayer and masking fluid thing just by chance. Right, and we now just want a nice, simple sentiment. And I'll get that ready. Okay, I thought I'd turn the camera on then, and I hadn't. But I've just cut out a shape for my sentiment. I've got the backing board on it, and that will go somewhere like that. Let me glue that on there. And I'm just offsetting it so that it's not sitting exactly on top of it. Oops, there we go, that's better. Like so. And I want to put one other little thing there, just to make it look so less alone. And I need this. And I'll just place that. Can you see that? I'll just place it there like that. Okay. And I think we're just about there. A little bit of glue. And for those people who prefer their cards a little flatter, I hope there's something, seems to be something a bit blurry about the phone. I hope you can see all this. This is a perfect card. It doesn't have too many, well, in fact, it has no height in it whatsoever. Maybe, perhaps, it's got a few layers, but it doesn't have too much height. Okay, and that's it. That's it. That's as much as I did for these cards, and I'm so pleased that they were so well received, and I'm so pleased that everyone took the time to stop by and send me their thoughts. It was good. It is nice when you do something that resonates with others. So, but anyway, that's it, and you can see they're pretty much the same. It is too dark a colour to be using there. As you can, let me get you back into screen there. It is too dark when you look at the others and how they've shaped up. But it makes a nice selection of cards Here's a pink. I didn't really, wasn't so overly fond of the pink. And anyway, there's our retro cards, where you've got the opportunity to showcase some of the gorgeous florals and elements that comes with Stampin' Up! Stamps. Let me just go over a couple of things here. The you place the colour down. You print first a light colour, and then you'll use the masking fluid. And once that's on and it's dry, you'll then overstamp, as we've done here, and then you will brayer a colour over that. Once all that's dry, you will then peel the masking tape off, or the masking fluid off, and then put in your cord, your backing card, and assemble it. It's as simple as that. Next week, let me show you what we're going to do next week, or the next video, and here it is here. This was a series that I did, I think it was before this one, and it was really, I was sitting at home here, I was feeling very sorry for myself, and I was watching somebody use rubber bands on their cards, and he was doing it in such a way that, I mean, I was really quite taken by it. So what I did was adopted a couple of things that he did, and I got my block and some rubber bands. I did go and get them from one of my elderly neighbours, because I didn't have a single rubber band. He's got a drawer full. Anyway, so wrapped the rubber bands onto the block, and the rest is history. So what I'd like to do next week is walk you through that process and see if that's not something that resonates with you, and we'll go from there. But thank you once again for joining me at Michael's Card Art for our masking fluid exercise. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've had fun. And most of all, I do hope to see you next time on Michael's Card Art. Please take care.